Hello and welcome back to another video, and today I am playing the full version of RIMS Racing. But before I do get into it, I do need to say a big thank you to Dead Good Media for providing me the key and the early access to this game. I really do appreciate it. But in this video I'm pretty much just going to do a race, maybe two, of the game just to sort of show it off, and then later on today I'll be starting off my career mode, and in a few days time I'll probably be doing a review on the game. So if you are new to the channel and you want to see what this game is like, definitely consider subscribing to the channel because I will be trying to do as much content on this game as I can. But let's get straight into it then. I've played a little bit of this game so far. Obviously I needed to get up to speed on it, so I've played probably about an hour, so I'm kind of used to the physics in a certain extent, but I'll probably still make mistakes. I'll probably end up crashing. But I didn't want to play too much. I still wanted to sort of do a video on my sort of initial impressions. So I've played for about an hour, so not too much at all, especially for a bike game. It really does take a long time to get into it. So if we quickly have a look at all the bikes and tracks that are available in the game. So in total there is 8 bikes in the game. They're all super bikes. We've got the Aprilia RS V4, the BMW M1000RR, and we've got the Ducati Panigale V4R. And then we've got actually the slightly older Fireblade, the 2019 CBR Fireblade. We've got the 2019 Kawasaki Ninja. And then we've got the F4 RC 2019 MV Agusta as well. The GSX-R 1000 from 2019. And then also the R1 from 2020. So far I've pretty much mainly been playing with the R1. Obviously that's just because I do quite like the R1. So I think I probably will give something else a try for this race. So I'll go on the GSX-R. And then if we have a look at the different tracks that are available, so there's a mixture of tracks in this game. Some of them are permanent race circuits, and then there is some road races as well. So we've got Canadian Tire Park, Paul Ricard, the Circuit Zolder, Fuji Speedway, Monsanto Circuit, Nürburgring GP, Silverstone, Suzuka, and Laguna Seca. Those are all the permanent race tracks, and then there is the Atlantic Road. Now excuse the pronunciation on this one, but it's going to be quite difficult. The Carretera de sa Calabra. That's probably completely wrong. If you do speak Spanish, do let me know in the comments how far off that was. But there's that circuit. There's Great Victoria Desert Road. That's one that's pretty easy for me to say. $1 Million Highway. And then Paso San Marco. And of course then there's a reverse variant of all those circuits. But I suppose they are... Well, actually it is almost like 2 different circuits. Because riding a track in reverse is so different. Especially a road course. But today I'm just going to stick to the short circuits. Obviously we'll probably have to play the road tracks at some point in career mode, I assume. And maybe I'll do some other videos on those later on. I've played a lot of Canadian Tire, so I actually want to play something else this one. I think I might go, just play it safe, go to Silverstone. And then if we have a look at the rules, which is where you can change all the AI difficulty, because they've got, well, it's actually set to 70% at the minute. It should be a little bit higher. I think I was running about 90% earlier. So that's what I'll go with. Random starting position. Let's get this one started. So here we are in the pits then, and in the end I actually decided to change the AI difficulty up to 100% because I thought 90 was going to be a bit too low based on the little bit of practice I did before. But in the pit lane, that's where you can actually change your setup. So if we go and quickly have a look at that screen, if we press Y to go to tuning, you can see you can change pretty much the usual stuff you'd expect. So the front suspension, you can change the rebound, the compression, the spring hardness, and the preload. Same with the shock absorber, you can do that as well. Gear ratio, so you got all your 6 gears, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you got your final ratio. And then you can actually change your tyre pressures as well, so that's quite interesting. You can't do that in a lot of games. So the cold tyre pressure, of course, the pressure will increase as you go around the track because the tyre gets hotter, the air moves around faster. And then your usual ECU settings as well, so your traction control, your anti-wheelie, and your engine braking. But this game has fuel in it as well, so you can actually change the amount of fuel. If we go Y again to fuel management, so you can actually drain the tank or fill the tank up, so you just change the amount that there's in the tank. For this race it's only 5 laps, so I'm not going to bother changing it, but if you were doing a longer race you could probably have a little bit of strategy, try and save some fuel as you go throughout. But that's pretty much everything in the setup menu. There's a settings screen as well, you can just change your general settings from the pit lane, so that's a nice little touch as well. But without any further ado, we'll get this race started. Not sure where I'll be starting on the grid actually, because it's a random grid, so I guess we'll see. So actually 9th place on the grid, so not an ideal start, especially since I decided to go with a slightly higher AI difficulty in the end, but I guess we'll have to see as we go into the first corner. But let's get this race started. There's actually manual clutch in this game as well, I forgot to mention, so waiting for the lights to go out, lights and away we go. So similar to the MotoGP games, you've got to hold in the clutch, shift up to first gear, wait for the lights to go out, and then let the clutch out, of course. So first corner, we've not had a terrible start. The AI a little bit sporadic out the first corner. So up into 6th place. I could think about it into Maggots. Oh, that was aggressive. We got it done, so up into 5th place now. It's actually been a very good start. We've all run very wide through Beckett's. I got an AI back up the inside. Actually, that was so close. I thought it was going to take my front wheel away from me then. That was super, super close. This time we actually did have contact. That guy in front's had a bit of a mare through there as well. So we're now up into 4th position. So I'm actually glad I went for that higher difficulty because we've had a really good start. So we brake 4 stow. Oh, the rear is skipping around. I suppose this would probably be the time to start talking about the physics, but I'll wait till the race has calmed down a little bit and I'll give you sort of my first sort of thoughts about the physics. Of course, from the first few, like about an hour of playing the game before this race as well, not just those first few corners, but the guy in the lead made a pretty big mistake there, so up into 3rd place. So we've got Jan LeBlanc in front of us. I've broke way too late for Abby. Yes, I have. Tapping that rear brake, just trying to get it turned. Oh, we just went off the track. Actually dropped that down to 4th place because of that as well. So that's not ideal. The guy in front was really, really lent over there. There's sparks flying off. Well, there's sparks flying off my bike now as well. So it seems like you can dig the foot pegs in if you put a fair amount of lean on. We're actually losing touch to the leaders now, it seems. So we've got only a 10th. Well, apparently a 10th for the guy behind. But that looks like a bit more than a 10th if you ask me. So we brake for Brooklands. Don't want to go in too hot there. I still have anyway, even though I've braked quite early. Through Lovefield. Am I going to get someone up the inside? No, I'm not actually. But you can see the front 3 are pulling away, so I'm going to have to try and pick up my pace. So we go then through Woodcut. Oh, a lot of understeer through Woodcut actually. I suppose that's a good time to segue to the physics. Oh, the rear end stepping out there as I was aggressive on the downshifts. That's something. Oh, huge crash on the curb. So that was a little bit of a quirk there. Not sure what happened exactly. But on the entry, of course, I lost the rear massively. And that's something I really am liking about these physics, is the fact that if you... Okay. But something I am really liking about the physics is that if you are aggressive on the downshifts, the rear will lock, and you can get thrown off the bike for that. So that is definitely a good feature, because in a lot of bike games you can absolutely slam it down the gearbox. Yeah, the rear might lock up a little in those games, but it doesn't actually step out or anything, so it just helps you get it stopped. Whereas in this game, you're actually punished for downshifting too aggressively, which is how it should be, because if anyone's ever downshifted too aggressively on a bike, they'll know the rear definitely locks up. And it'll definitely step out. Might not necessarily throw you off every time, but if you do it enough times, it definitely will. So we're 6 seconds behind the rider in front. So yeah, this race has not gone to plan, that's for sure. Especially into Abbey again. I've run off the circuit. There is a lot of understeer. I've noticed that, but that's probably just because I'm used to MotoGP bikes. They probably just turn a little bit better than production racing. So that could be a lot of what that's down to, especially at Silverstone as well. Only bikes tend to ride around Silverstone are MotoGP bikes. So just picked up a 1 second penalty, completely messed up. One section and cut the corner a bit, got a penalty, completely fair. That is probably a good time to talk about the penalty system though, because it actually calculates how much of an advantage you've gained and gives you a penalty according to that. So it's a really, really fair way to police it. So if you like literally dip a tyre on the green or something, you don't get a massive penalty for that, or warnings leading up to a long lap or whatever. It is just a time penalty there and then for whatever you did. So if you just run a little bit wide, like you've seen me do at Abbey at pretty much every lap so far, you don't really lose anything. Where you don't get a penalty because you've lost time. Whereas if you cut an actual corner itself, or if you track extend in a way that helps you out, you actually get a penalty, so that's good. So it's not just one of those things that only penalises when you corner cut. If you do track extend and gain time from it, it'll know, and then you do get a penalty. I am starting to make some decent inroads on the rider in front, but I think it's just going to be too little too late, because obviously we lost so much time from the second crash on the curb. It definitely seems like the curbs are something to stay away from. That's what I've noticed as well. Don't really want to ride the curbs too much, which shouldn't be too hard, considering that you can't ride the curbs in the MotoGP game anymore either. So for me, I'm already trying to avoid the curbs where possible. So that race wasn't going too well, so I thought I'd try out a different one. This time we're at the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park on the Ducati V4R. Let's see if we can get a good race this time. It's down to 3 laps as well, 95% AI, just in case I do make a mistake. I can maybe have a chance at closing back up. But let's get this one started. Hopefully it's a good race. So I'm actually 4th place on the grid this time. Not too bad, definitely better than 9th place on the grid. Allows me to try and have a go at those few in front of me into the first turn, but at the same time, I'm not so far back, I actually have to try and pass everybody. So I've actually got a shot at the victory if I can actually get a decent start and not crash. But here we are then, lights are on and waiting for the lights to go out here then. Lights out and away we go. We've had a pretty decent start. That MV Augustus had an amazing start again. Somebody else has had a good start as well. Someone braked so early for the first corner though, just hit them at the back. Good job we didn't crash actually. There we go, up into 3rd place. Going to brake nice and early, up into 2nd. So it's a V4R1-2 it seems, and I'm going to go around the outside. The other Ducati V4R, I think I might have just pushed him onto the grass. Yeah, I did. I hit him with my body and pushed him onto the grass. So up into the lead of the race. It definitely seems like they are a little bit weird around the first couple of corners. They go quite slow and they sort of take the wrong lines. I'm not sure what it is. I think it might be when they're in a pack maybe, or just how they are on the first lap. They soon get onto the pace, but that's something I have definitely noticed so far, is that on the first couple of corners, they ride a little bit strange. But you know what, I'm in the lead for once, so I'm going to try and enjoy it. As we go down the Mario Andretti straightaway. I'm trying to hang a little bit of a defensive line, just in case, but I'm not expecting any kind of dive bomb break at the Canadian Tire Board. Why is there cones all over the place? Okay, so I've just been taken up by a cone. That's interesting. So I'm actually down to 8th place. I'm not quite at the back. Here we go, up the inside, into the final turn though. Back up into 7th. He's trying to hang it around the outside. He's actually successfully done it, so fair play to him. So Remy Feeney, hanging it around the outside. My objective for the rest of this race though is to get back in front of him. We've got a pretty good run at it actually. As we go down the hill, the wrist steps out massively. I'm going to try and get on the power around the outside of the BMW. Yes we are. Hope I don't get a penalty for that. Yes I did though, 1/4 of a second. I do like the penalty system in this game, it's got to be said. Kind of figures out whether you gained an advantage for going off the track and then gives you a penalty accordingly. I think that BMW crashed again though, because they're absolutely gone. Gaining on the AI in front though, so that's good. Potentially we could have a battle on the last lap and try and get past some of them. Oh, we've managed to hang on to that somehow. That was lucky. You see the rear end over the crest of that hill. That is scary stuff, but it's another quite good part. If you try and flick the bike over too aggressively, the rear comes off the ground. You've definitely got a high percentage of crashing. And I think I'm just going to miss out on closing up to this 3 in front. Or one of them's been absolutely sat up. In fact, they've cost each other so much time. We could still have a chance at this. We could still be in the hunt for 4th place if we do this last sector perfectly. We've got such a good run on whoever this is in front. Don't know what bike they're on. We've got such a good run. Here we go. On this V4R, the front wheel came off the ground a little bit there over that crest. We brake then for this right-hander. I've gotten a little bit hot there, having more battles in front. This could be it, the battle for 4th place. I'm looking at the inside, I've not quite been able to pull it off. But can I try and get the switch back into the last corner? A bit of contact with that AI. We've got in front of him now. On the gas as hard as I can. We've not managed to do it. So Landon Keller then wins the race. I ended up in 6th position, which, considering I had a crash, not too bad. I actually managed to beat the rider a pass at the last corner, even with the additional penalty. But that's the first proper race and completed in RIMS Racing, and I got to say that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. You can see once I actually started to get into the groove, I didn't crash so much. Not sure what the deal with the cones were, why they were quite in the track. I think maybe it's because I was doing a race before where I crashed into them, just messing around to see what would happen, and maybe they just didn't respawn, so they probably got knocked to the track or something. That's a little bit odd. So hopefully, if anybody does see this video, that issue could be rectified, because that was rather odd, but it made the race a bit more entertaining, didn't it? So yeah, you know what, I'll take it. In the end, only 4 seconds off the leader with a crash. Yeah, not too bad, pretty decent. That's pretty much it for this video. Like I said, it was just the first sort of couple of races that I was doing, just talk about my base impressions with the physics and things like that. I will be doing a career mode. Hopefully that should be out later today, and I'll try and be pretty consistent with the uploads on that. And as well, like I said, I will be doing a review in a few days' time, a full review of everything in the game, just to give you my overall opinion on the game. So far, it's pretty positive from the little that I've played. Obviously, there is some little issues that we saw crop up in this video, and I'm sure as I play, I'll probably find some more things that I like, some more things that maybe I don't like. So when it comes time for a few days' time, I actually will have enough data to make a decent and fair review. But once again, I just want to thank Dead Good Media for the code for the game, and I really do appreciate it. But I hope you guys did enjoy that video. Hope you enjoyed the rest of your day. Hope you're staying safe, and I shall see you in the next one.